Start Me Up, Part 4. What's the plan? Creating good DNA, healthy DNA. Preface: the following is not magic. New groups have a high failure rate, even when they're done well, following all the advice given below. The human element brings a certain level of uncertainty. You can't plan for everything, and even when you do everything right, things can still go wrong. This is a big reason that it's better for new classes to be started by at least two non related adults. It is also why leaders of new groups need to be supported by other leaders in the church. This keeps new leaders from feeling like they've done something wrong if the group fails to launch. It provides the new leaders with someone with whom they can celebrate if the group really takes off, and someone they can cry on their shoulder if it falls apart. With all that said, there are common traits and features that all successful groups have. A shared DNA is detectable among all healthy groups. That is why we want to spend some significant time trying to understand and cultivate the process of creating and passing on good DNA. So, here are some of the traits that every group should have. First, every good group knows that the process is more important than the content. It is more important that a leader knows how to facilitate a discussion than that he or she is a walking encyclopedia of biblical knowledge. When we're looking for new leaders, the gifts of hospitality and nurture are actually more important than intellectual gifts. Now, that doesn't mean that we should be indifferent to the content. People need to know the Bible and the Orthodox faith. They need sound doctrine and good teaching. But good teaching is not enough to hold a class together. Every class needs someone who knows how to throw a party, pull people together, create a compelling atmosphere, make people feel welcomed, and help people to have fun. John Wesley and the early Methodist leaders discovered that God has provided a fairly predictable process for helping people grow. And if you trust that God given process, people will usually grow. Our denomination exists because of a huge revival spun out of the preaching of John and Charles Wesley and their friend George Whitefield. The response to their preaching included numbers of people greater than anything they could have imagined, let alone shepherded. So the leaders of this 18th century revival created small groups in order to be the primary way to help these masses of people cultivate and develop a mature faith. Of course, when looking for leaders, we are not encouraging the church to ignore character in the selection process, but the Wesleys could not rely on using only super mature Christians or the only people that had gone to seminary or the university. Things were happening far too quickly for that to be their primary strategy. So they followed and supervised a very predictable process for helping people grow. Their methodological approach is why we are called Methodist. People grew because of following this process. People's lives were changed. That is why we want to emphasize that it is far more important that a leader be able to facilitate this process than that they be a walking encyclopedia of biblical facts. What we really want leaders to do is see themselves as facilitators more than teachers. This is about facilitating discussion more than it is about providing information. Again, we're not saying that anything goes. We are not saying that content is unimportant. We are saying trust the process and allow people to participate in it. It is important that each group have a covenant, either that is written out explicitly or at least one that is implicit. Each group must decide how much structure it needs, negotiating how much needs to go into this covenant. Periodically, a group may need to revisit their covenant to determine if it provides too much or too little structure. Below is a sample of a covenant. So here are some suggested things that might go into your covenant. Number one, try to limit your input to 2 times a class, using only 5 minutes or less so that others may participate. If you take up too much time each class time, then others won't be able to participate. Number two, this is not a debate club. If you must disagree, please do so respectfully. We are not here to convince each other of our opinions. We are here to be transformed by the power and love of God. Number three, practice active listening, not just being silent until it's your turn to talk. Active listening means trying to understand where other people are coming from. Number four, if you know that a member of the group is in need, say something so that the group can respond appropriately. Number five, love, encourage, and pray for one another. None of us can do this journey alone. If each member of the group understands these expectations and these guidelines, then each member can participate not only in the group discussion, but participate in making sure that the group is healthy for everyone. Here's an exercise you might want to spend time doing with your group. Spend some time with your group creating a covenant for your class. Do this as a group, designing only one covenant, even if the members of the class are going to start separate classes. Later, you can adapt the covenant to fit the specifics of your group. For now, we want you to just have the experience of creating a covenant with other people. Next time, we're going to continue looking at healthy DNA a group should have.